Hello, this is Dr. Jack Wolfson, and welcome to another episode of the Healthy Heart Show. And today I'm honored to have on my show Carrington Beauchamp, who is a health coach at the Doctors Wolfson, our lead health coach, and such a phenomenal human being. I'll let Carrington, of course, talk about her training, why she decided to become a health coach. But I often kind of refer to you, Carrington, as like this old wise woman with generations of knowledge in your brain, and I say that affectionately, certainly not calling you old because you're not old. You're like, what, like 31, 32, whatever. Not even that I want to say that, right? We're all 21, right? But, all right, tell me just who is Carrington Beauchamp and why you became a health coach?
Well, I think it kind of starts with my journey into sort of natural alternative medicine. I was kind of ruined for allopathic care when I was really young because I got really sick and they thought I had juvenile arthritis. And after tons of testing at Mayo Clinic and nobody could figure out how to help me, and I was on tons of Aleve every day for the pain, my mom took me to a chiropractor, and the chiropractor said, she doesn't have arthritis, she has severe scoliosis. And my mom carried me into that appointment, and then I walked out of that appointment after being adjusted. So I immediately, at a really young age, thought, wow, so doctors and medicine works that you go and they fix you and then you walk out and you're all better. And so the idea of a diagnosis just being what you live with forever never occurred to me. I always just thought that I always believed that healing was possible because of that experience. So, and also loved chiropractors since I was really little. So fast forward to me, I was a really young mom and I started doing a lot of research on vaccines and natural medicine, and I was pregnant and I was looking for natural ways to have a baby and all that, and I was isolated from my family. I had moved to a small town, so I just started blogging what I was finding, and the blog really grew because I thought it was just going to be a mom blog, but I started blogging about vaccines and about natural birth and about nutrition and all these things I was just in my free time just naturally passionate about and interested in, and Googling and on YouTube and all that. So my blog really took off and grew, and I had thousands of readers, and people would started emailing me every day asking for my help. And I started responding with really long emails of 10 steps to kind of fix their lives. And first thing you need to do is get more sleep, and the second thing you need to do is find a natural doctor and things like that. And it was really kind of laid out. And I didn't really have any training in that. That was just my heart to help people. And so after a few years of that, spending hours every day responding to people, my husband was like, can you get paid for this? And I was like, I don't know how I'd get paid for this. I didn't know that there was such a thing as health coaching. So I just started Googling and seeing if there was a way to do that, and started finding a ton of schools. So I ended up choosing a school called the Institute of Integrative Nutrition. One of the reasons I chose that school is because all the other nutrition programs I was finding were very dogmatic, and they would focus on one way of eating. And I really, at the time, was into learning about Weston A. Price Foundation, and I wanted to make sure that as a coach coaching someone that I would know all dietary theories and be able to help everyone, because I really believe that it's very bio-individual. So I went to school at the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, got certified, and started my business right after that. And I had a business for a few years, my own practice. I focused on moms like me and on people to help them heal the gut. And eventually found my way to you, and because what I really kind of put out there to the universe was that I wanted to work with a doctor so I could be I could be part of people's care for longer term, because what was happening was I was attracting a lot of really sick people, and they would come to me for weight loss or things like that, and I could tell that there was a lot more going on with them, and so I'd refer them out to get blood work done and get all that stuff done. And I really just wanted to be a part of that process more and do more and help more people. So partnering with you, Dr. Wolfson, was like exactly what I had put out that I wanted. And so I am really passionate about getting to the root cause of both the physical body and also the emotional body in terms of disease. And I really believe it all has to work together.
Got it. So how would you define a health coach?
So I define a health coach. A lot of people look at health coaches in terms of, other healers. Like, I'm going to go to you and you're going to tell me exactly what I need to do to fix myself. And the first time I talk to people, I usually tell them, you actually know what your next step is. And health coaches come in to really affirm that. So I'm really good at intuitively looking at someone and listening really closely to their words. And they'll say things like, I really think I'm probably supposed to be doing this, but I don't know, I can't do that. Or I just really feel like that's not going to work. And so they know what their next step is. They know intuitively where they're supposed to go to heal, but they have mindset blocks. They have negative thought patterns. They have a distrust in their own intuition. And so a coach can come in and affirm those things. But I'm also like someone that comes in and holds your hand and holds you accountable. So there's someone else watching what you're doing, what you're committing to. And then also a coach does all the sort of mental labor to lay out a step-by-step process of how to get from point A to point B, how to really get you to your goal in an efficient way. And it really maximizes the amount of time you have so that people on their own can reach their goal in 2 years, but maybe with a health coach laying out a very specific format and steps with the experience to know the how-to, and they could get you there in 6 months. So I see it as an efficient support. So we encourage, we hold you accountable, we do the mental load to sort of lay out a step-by-step process for your goals, and we're really there to affirm your own intuition to help you achieve that.
Well, I think there's a lot of people who do know the next step, maybe do know what they need to do, but of course there's a lot of people that don't know what to do. Maybe they're sitting in a hospital right now after they recovered from a heart attack, after they had a heart attack or an episode where that hospitalized them, or they're struggling with mental health, depression, anxiety, stress, anger, whatever kind of issues people have. And I think in a lot of ways, us medical doctors love saying, hey, find a holistic medical doctor. Maybe the first thing you need to do is find a health coach and let that person be your guide to find the appropriate practitioner for you, whether it's a holistic medical doctor, it's a doctor of chiropractic, maybe kind of the quarterback of that team is the health coach, maybe, and once again,
I love that.
just kind of, going to see that person first. I mean, I've got no doubt, obviously, Carrington, in our community in Arizona, that you would be a phenomenal resource for someone to reach out to and say, hey, these are my issues, what I perceive as my issues, or I'm sick, I'm sick over here. And this is where, once again, a health coach can direct you in those kind of areas, almost like the telephone operator that's like, okay.
Well, that's such a good idea, because a lot of times people get sick and they know they need help, but they have no idea where they're supposed to go. Okay, I have this issue. What kind of doctor do I need, or where am I supposed to go? And honestly, the very first step, the very first line of medicine is nutrition. So it's always going to be first about the food that you're eating. And so the coach can help you start there, and then they can, look at what you're going through and recommend a doctor very specifically to what you're going through. But the very first step is going to be the nutrition as well anyways.
Well, it's going to be the nutrition, but, once again, as far as obviously there's all different types of nutrition, as you mentioned, there's so many different ways to start a healthy nutrition protocol. But obviously, tell me some of the other things that a health coach does besides, nutrition is the obvious thing.
Yeah.
But, why would somebody want to hire a coach? First of all, why would you want to hire a health coach? I'm a busy executive. I'm a CEO of a company. I am someone who is a specialist in IT. I am an engineer. I am a manager at a hotel chain. Why should I hire a health coach? But what else are they going to do besides the nutrition aspect? That's obvious.
So you need another voice to come in and to look at the entire landscape of your life, not just your health and what's going on with your body, but to look at your work, your personal relationships, your spiritual life, to look at the entire landscape of it and to give you a perspective that you cannot see because you're in your own world. So to give you a perspective of like, hey, look, here's areas that you're really passionate about and you're not spending any time there. Hey, look, here's areas that are really struggling and you're not putting any effort into fixing them. You know, so another voice that can come in and help with that is really, really key. But also, especially for the busy executive, like, and these professionals that you were speaking of, the mental load of having to figure out what your next step is, how you're supposed to get there, just someone tell me what to do each week and break it down for me so I can get to my goal. People don't have time for that. So if you can tell me your goal, and my effort is to get you to your goal. It's not my agenda, it's your agenda. It's what do you want? I want to help you be your best self, and I want to push you to be your best self. So coaches are really skilled at seeing potential and seeing, not just potential in success and career, but also in healing. So believing for you that you can get to where you really desire to be, because a lot of people cut that down way lower. So they'll want this, but they'll aim for this. And coaches are great at saying, no, like there's no reason why you can't get there. Also, I'm really always listening for stories that people are telling themselves that hold them back. And it's so subconscious, you would never be able to see it yourself. And when I can reflect that back to people and give that feedback, it can be really life-changing to think, oh, wow, like I had no idea that this thing that happened in my childhood where I decided and created this belief around it was holding me back today in my life and keeping me from losing that weight or lowering my stress, or I think I always have to be busy, or I think I never can finish things. You know, it's like this constant mindset that's holding you back.
Yeah, I think you make some amazing points in the sense that it's not just about the food, it's not just about the physical nature of us, that there is this whole mental aspect of what's going on, and that can stem from childhood issues, that can be relationship issues, and you need someone to really help you delve into those areas. And that's where the health coach can really be spectacular. And for the busy executive, or just for the mom and the mom is kind of running her household, and maybe you hired someone to do the cleaning, maybe you hired someone to go shopping or cook food, or maybe once again you've got like this personal assistant, not necessarily as a mother, but as a busy business person in the current world, that you need to outsource some of this to get you healthy again. And that's where the health coach really comes in. And I love what you brought up before. I love the word accountability, because accountability, maybe I'll have you talk about that a little more, and where the accountability factor comes in, and how the health coach keeps you accountable to keep you on the healthy plan.
Yeah. Well, accountability is really the key, because if no one else is watching the goals you set for yourself, it's so easy to not keep your word to yourself. There is value even just in setting up a phone call with me, knowing that I'm going to ask you questions about the goals you committed to 2 weeks ago. If you know that someone's going to ask you and someone's going to be there, then you are much more likely to be compliant in your own commitments. And then, in those phone calls, I work through, why didn't you complete them? What was happening in your mindset? Let's talk about your resistance and what happened. Maybe it was an unrealistic goal and we need to adjust it, and let's figure out, or maybe you ran into a bunch of problems and you need help trying to figure out solutions to those problems. A health coach is going to do that. So the accountability is key, though, because that is how we go fast. We can fall down, get back up, fall down, get back up. But when you have someone holding you accountable and they are very firmly holding you to your word because they want you to succeed towards your goals and they're committed in holding that space for you, you are much more likely to stick to every single commitment you make. And you just get there so much faster because you don't have to deal with constantly kind of falling down and getting back up.
How do you find a good health coach in your community, or does it have to be in your community? Can it be online? Does it have to be person to person? How does someone find a good health coach?
So it does not have to be in your community. I actually think you should definitely take advantage of the worldwide community through technology and internet. I don't think that there's any reason you need to be in person with your coach. I just really firmly believe that. And so in that opens up so much more to you that you can go find the best coaches. I will say that most coaches offer some sort of free kind of, chat, whether it be a 15-minute or a 30-minute kind of chat to get to know and basically interview them. They want to interview you as well, because I have done this process and worked with people. I could tell right away that either I wasn't going to be able to help them, they needed a different type of coach, or I knew that they weren't coachable, and so I knew we weren't going to go, or just our personalities didn't clash, or just clashed a good bit. And so it's a two-way kind of interview, and I think people just go with one person and they try that person. And similar to trying a doctor, there's great doctors out there, and then there's tons of terrible ones. So and same thing, I hear this with chiropractors too. They have a bad experience with the chiropractor and they never go back. And it's like, there are a million out there, and some are amazing and some are not good. You just have to keep looking. So same thing with a coach. Use their free kind of interview service and ask them, you're going to get a feel for how they are and the feedback they give you, but there should be value that you receive in that first call, and that, you're able to connect with them. But I would go with coaches that allow for that and give you great feedback in that first call.
So do you just get onto Google or get onto the internet and search health coach? Is there like a governing body of health coaches in general where you can go to? Should you ask a friend? Are there Yelp reviews of health coaches? I'm in Miami, Florida, and I hear this podcast. I need a health coach. Aside from the obvious where, hey, listen, if you want to call up the doctors Wolfson and work with one of our health coaches, that's always a possibility. But listen, I'm a firm everybody needs a health coach. Everybody needs to be accountable. So that being said, the doctors Wolfson, we can't handle everybody as a client. So therefore, where are people going to go?
So it really depends on what are your main goals. So if you have goals more towards business, like you're starting a business, say, and you're an entrepreneur, you're going to want to work with a coach that specializes in working with entrepreneurs, or a business coach. There are definitely kind of specialties in the coaching area.
No, but I'm talking specifically about health coaches.
Health coaches. Okay,
obviously there's business coaches, there's life coaches, and all these different. And I think listen, the ability to have someone on the outside to be able to talk about whatever issues that may be going on in your life, I think are very, very important. So I think this is a very important profession. And to your point before, my father told me very early on, he said the best thing you can do is to get a consultation. So if it's a free consultation, of course there's no charge, but even still, even if you have to pay for that first visit with whoever it is, you go there. If you resonate with that person, you stick with that person. If you don't like what they have to say, if there's just some barriers, if there's just, we're kind of working on different levels here, then you move on and you go find somebody else. And that could be true of a holistic cardiologist. That could be true of a health coach. That could be true of a chiropractor, of a naturopath, or just an employee in the business that you run. Either you resonate, you don't, you move on.
Exactly. And I think as far as searching the internet, like if you have no idea where to start, I would look for health coaches that are functionally medicine trained in nutrition. The Institute of Functional Medicine has sort of people that do that. Also people that graduate from the school I went to, the Institute of Integrative Nutrition. They come at health and nutrition from the bio individual. So they're not dogmatic and going to say you have to only eat this way or be vegan or do this or whatever. And they have this like very committed mindset. They're going to look at you and your body and what your body is saying it needs and design something more specific to you. And so those are two different resources that you could do, but also just asking friends and family for who else has used a coach and who they liked. And you're going to find a lot of people on social media. And so that's kind of where to start. But then the interview process, that free consultation is really where you're going to find your match. And don't be afraid to schedule like 3 or 4 of them in a week to get to know different coaches and before you kind of commit to a program.
Because, I mean, it is, it should be a big commitment. It should be
Yes.
something like, okay, this is someone I'm going to work with for maybe 3 months, then maybe the next 6 months. I know you have clients, I mean, that you've worked with for years.
Yeah.
And that is really the best relationship. And that way you really get to know somebody. It's always professional, but there's, it becomes like a friendship on both sides.
Very intimate.
And I know I feel that way with a lot of my patients that have been with me for years. I mean, we are friends, and occasionally we'll go out maybe for a cup of organic coffee or, once again, just a quick chat on the phone, and they really become, especially when they're like-minded people, they become part of our tribe and how we're all together. So tell me, if a person is interested in signing up, for example, obviously a program with the Doctors Wolfson, or I mean, what is the typical, without getting into the specifics of what we do, with the Doctors Wolfson, but what's the typical kind of health coaching package or packages? What should people be looking for? What are the price ranges typically people can expect?
That's a really good question. Okay, so sometimes you'll find coaches that will do sort of one-off calls. So it's sort of like going to a therapist. You'll have they'll have a 1-hour kind of fee, and you can call them up and do anything you want. I find this not effective because I think that to reach your actual goal, you need someone, like we said, holding your hand, holding you accountable, going through the process with you. And so you can also then find coaches that do programs. So they write content, they have kind of themed content, and you're going to have 3, 6, 12-month programs that are very committed. Typical standard coaching is going to be 2 calls a month, about an hour each. Sometimes they do them break it up by the week, but there's also such thing as group programs. So if health coaching one-on-one is not affordable for you, you can find group programs that are usually more affordable, where it's a small group of people that meet over the phone, and can be quite effective as well because now you have other people holding you accountable as well. But the typical prices for a coach right out of school is going to be $250 a month, I would say, for those 2 phone calls, and that's without any content or anything like that. So just for each call, breakdown of that, and then it can go anywhere high up from that. So $400, $500, $600 a month for a really good coach, because they can. It's really about value that you're getting, and someone with a lot of knowledge and background can get you where you want to be faster. So that would be sort of why you would spend the money on a coach that is more expensive, just because they have more knowledge and experience to get you where you want to be faster.
Okay. So when I get a phone call with Carrington Beauchamp or one of the health coaches, the Doctors Wolfson, what can I expect on that first phone call? So I call up the Doctors Wolfson, or I call up any of these health coaching services, and I get some information on the program. Should I expect a free 15-minute consultation? Should I demand that? And on that 15 minutes, what are we trying to establish, and what can we expect maybe on that first full coaching call, if you will?
So most coaches are going to go through a health history sort of with you. Some might be detailed and they'll take an hour, and some might be really brief and ask you what your main health concerns are at that time. But really they're going to go through your health history, which I have actually found in my business to be actually so valuable. When people kind of, and you probably know this as a doctor too, when they kind of are able to go through the timeline of their health, sometimes they haven't seen a health professional in years, and they haven't really thought about how these things in their timeline really went together. And so there's a lot of value there, to see, oh, so like right when you got that IUD in, you started experiencing all this depression and weight gain and stuff, and they had really not connected those two things. So a lot of that call is a lot of connection. So basically the health history allows the health coach to see if they're a good fit for you, if they have the knowledge and experience that they know that they can help you, or if they need to refer you out to somebody else. And vice versa, you're going to be able to see, as you talk to them, if they have knowledge about the health issues that you are going through and if they can help you.
I think in general, knowing where medicine is these days and how short the medical doctor's visits are, and they talk about none of the things, Carrington, that you're talking about that a health coach can delve into, just taking this long, detailed history, really trying to find out where health issues arise. And not only just for people that are sick, for people that are looking to be healthy. I can think of no better client for a health coach than that 35-year-old mom, or the 38-year-old, business owner, or the employee, or anybody who wants to prevent being sick, to really take a preventive approach beforehand. And who better at prevention help guide you than a certified health coach?
Yeah, definitely. And, this is kind of like broader than what you were saying, but I really believe, back in Paleolithic time, we were part of a tribe where we had our needs met. We had people all around us. And now we are isolated either alone or into our small nuclear families where we have just the support of our spouses or our close couple of friends maybe. And we are lacking sort of the community, the tribe. And I really feel as a health coach that I come in and affirm to people that it's okay to need help in these areas, that we're designed that way. We're designed to live in community and share resources and have people that help us. And so all the time I hear people and they're like, oh, I'm struggling to lose that weight. And I wish I could just eat it. And they feel so much shame and guilt. And it's like, your struggle makes sense to me. It should not, it's hard, like you should not, nobody can do this alone. Everybody needs help. And so, I find people think it's so validating to hear that you're not just like failing at life. You were just never meant to be in isolation like this. So I fills that little role a little bit.
I totally agree. And that's why in the beginning of the interview, I said, like, Carrington is this old, wise, that's how I picture you, is like this old wise woman in the tribe, and it's like people go to you for all their ills and sicknesses, and you do your different, techniques, craft,
People have been saying that to me since I was a little kid. Oh, you have such an old soul.
And obviously that's so complimentary. Now, I guess if we had this interview in 20 years from now, and as you do, as Carrington does finally start to age a little bit, she may not look at that as as affectionately, kind of like, buzz off, doc. That I'm an old
compliment while I'm still in my maiden time of life.
Yes, for sure. Anyways, this has been absolutely fantastic. I know people are going to get a lot out of this interview. People, of course, know how to find you when they go to the health coaching programs. I guess let me say this, on the website at the Doctors Wolfson, what's kind of the best way to get dialed in, either to get more information on the website, and this is of course changing as we speak. We're coming out with a new website very soon, but also even just calling the office. How do they get scheduled with one of our health coaches?
So first thing I want to make notice is that there are a couple of blood tests on the website currently where you can get blood work done and have access to the health coach to go over a couple of those tests. That's a great way to get started if you were unsure about the experience with the health coach, because you're going to get blood work done and you're going to get that experience with the coach. But as far as interviewing or testing out the program, seeing what we have to offer, you would give the office a call and schedule an appointment for that free consultation. And then we would be able to go over your health history, and then I would tell you about the program. Also, if you go on the Dr. Wolfson, you can get signed up to our email list, and we're going to be launching webinars soon where we're going to give a ton of free information about, we have one coming up soon, but we're going to keep doing that and give tons of free information, and our hearts are in teaching and education about health. And so if you're locked in right there, usually we have information at the end of those webinars on how to get into the coaching program. But it's also another way for you to experience the value of having a health coach and see, how we work.
And you guys are also putting out content, great information, if you will. I mean, I've been told by marketing people, they're like, stop saying content, because the lay person who is a plumber or, a school teacher doesn't know what you're talking about content. All of us, in marketing, it's content, we're putting out health information. And I know you guys are putting out great health information on social media, on Instagram, and the Facebook coaching group for TDW health coaches and stuff like that, so people can find you there. Carrington Beauchamp, thank you so much for being on this episode of the Healthy Heart Show. I think people are going to get tremendous information and value out of this, and really understand that they need to find a good quality health coach. So for this episode of the Healthy Heart Show, I'm Dr. Jack Wolfson, cardiologist, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Dr. Olson. Bye, guys.